Righto, so thanks for coming along. Today we're going to have a look at how to customise your work environment. So everyone sort of has different ways of working, everyone knows different shortcuts. Some people rely on, where's my mouse gone? Some people rely on the pull-down menus, obviously the tools here. Some people like these icon menus. And there's also various palettes and stuff that we can add to the screen to make it suit the way you want to work or we want to work. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but we find all this sort of stuff up here in the work environment. I'm not sure if anyone's poked around in here and seen what it does, but possibly seen these profiles here. We've got a layouting profile, a standard profile, and a visualization profile. So just for a starter, if we just quickly have a look at what these do. So if we go to the layouting profile, it sets our screen up slightly different than what I had it before. It's brought my navigator over the side here, and it's really focused more on tools that you use for setting up your layout books. We can then check out standard profile. So it goes back to your typical standard out-of-the-box profile. And the last one was visualizations. So that's changed our toolbar here and added some of these 3D tools, so you've got quick access to your 3D visualization tools, setting up your projection settings and things like that. And it's taken, hidden the navigator out here. Sometimes those might be something missing. There's something you use all the time. So rather than having to go, through the drop-down menus, you can then make our own. So what we'll do is we'll come into here, back into our work environment, and come to the top one here, so work environment. And this brings us up all of the things that we can customize within ArchiCAD. Now, the beauty of this is that it's user-specific. So if you're on a team file, it's not going to then change everything for everyone else on the project and find people getting angry at you for changing something. So this is something you can actually change to work your way without upsetting anyone else. So where are we? What have we got? We come down. So one of the things that is good to do is to turn off, hold on, where are we? Data safety. Oh yeah, it's so data safety and integrity, and come down here to this data integrity. And it's very good to have, especially in our teamwork projects, to have this here clicked. Release all when closing teamwork project with send changes. So that saves that situation where you've got something reserved that you forgot about, and you head home for the night at 3 o'clock and someone else is still working and they want to access it, end up kicking you out of the project, and then you have to reload the next day. So if you turn that on, that will solve that problem generally. You can also set up your data safety settings in here, so how often ArchiCAD will save in the background, so that if you do crash, it will recover. So when you crash and then you restart and it brings up that there is a recovered version or a recoverable version. This here sets how far back that's likely to have been. So at the moment I've got that at ultra safe, so it's sort of saving every time you do something. So when I crash and come back, I haven't lost much more than the last step. It's probably all you need really there. Now, what I was trying to do was setting up our Toolbox. So sometimes, you might find that your toolbox is too spread out. So there's lots of tools between the tools that you actually use, or some that you don't even use. So, just say with the stuff you do, you're not likely to use. Oh, hold on, where are we? So just say we're not likely to use some of these tools. So I can come into here. So it's broken my current visualization setting toolbox up into two sections. So the selection one, which is my arrow, my marquee, which you generally want, and then the design one. So here's all the bits of the design things you can do in the one toolbar. So just say you're not going to be really needing corner windows. You know that. Maybe we're not going to use this shell for anything. You're working internally, so we're not going to need skylights or curtain walls. And maybe we're not going to be doing any line work, because we'll put these on another toolbar maybe, so we'll get rid of those. You're not going to be using the mesh probably, because all the zones and stuff are probably already in place. You could probably take that out. What else have we got? We need texture image. And maybe you might put some lamps, but they're not that important, so we'll put them down the bottom. You're not going to maybe use the roof tool, and maybe you're not going to move the morph or the stairs or the railings. And what else? So maybe that wall end tool is not something you'll use a lot, so we can bring that down the bottom. So now we've done a bit of a rearrangement to our toolbar. So we're going to apply it as a custom scheme now. And now you'll see that my toolbar has all changed. So if we come back into environment, so that's there. Now just say we wanted to then create an extra one for like some 2D stuff. We would then need to create a new group. Got a name. And then go back over here and find those things that we're going to want for using in 2D. So maybe lines, fills, arcs, polylines, splines, text, and labels. And we can add to the selected. So we'll take that one out of there. Take that out. And then here. So now we've got our 2D elements in a separate little palette down here that we can have hidden until we need them. It's a very last resort. So then, that's what I should do. So what we've done now is we've customized the setup how we want it. So now we can save it as our own own profile. So if I'll just actually do some other bits while we're at it. We can also actually change these ones up here. So this is tools settings dialog. Actually, this will tell us all the information that crops up in these tools as we open them up. Another one that's good to change quite often is the info box. Now that's the box that opens when you, this box here. So it brings all this information up. And quite often you find yourself either scrolling constantly to the end of here, especially now that we're using these properties a lot. So you find yourself scrolling through or opening up, what's going on the screen, opening up the toolbox and then having to hunt through to find the right information. So what we want to do now is customize our toolbox, maybe so that things like element ID and these properties and stuff can come to the front, so that stuff that we actually change regularly and we want to be able to find quickly is there, rather than always at the back of the toolbar. So we can then come back into here, our info box, so the window tool. So this has now got all of the stuff that you can show for the window. So we wanted to bring, say, the classifications up near the front. Where should we go? Yeah, say, and properties. We'd like to change that more often. And did I say element ID? Didn't I? That one there. So we'll bring that to the front and go. Okay. So now, when we choose a window, so now our window, we've got our ID at the front, and then our properties and our classifications over here. So we don't have to then be scrolling all the way through the back every time we open up our window to go and change that setting. So now I've got that set up. Maybe we want to add some more palettes. Now I find, where are they? Coordinates. It's over on another screen. Hold on. So I put my coordinates in here, so I always find this handy because it gives me some sort of awareness of quickly where I am or how far something is without having to sort of measure or put a dimension marker or something like that. So I can quickly know if that's your 0 point, well, that's 4 meters away and that's 4 meters across and 4 meters up. So this one's really handy. And say the other one I find really handy is control box. And that's the one that allows you to click on here for, this is probably because I'm old school ways of getting your perpendicular lines and parallel lines and stuff. It was before they had a lot of the construction line helpers in ArchiCAD. And then you've got things like the snap option, so whether you want to do it in half or between points or divisions, percentage, distance. So they're always, because that's quite often something that you're doing on a regular basis, is finding the middle of a wall or something like that. So it's real handy to know that that's there, easy to find. You can still customize those as well. And I like having my navigator out. Why is that not coming out there? Well, you're not doing that.
I think you have your reference image tool still activated.
Ah, cheers. So double click on that. So I like having that. Sitting aside my screen rather than always having to open it up or bring it in front of everything else. Now, you do lose a wee bit of your screen, but I think it outweighs what you lose. Do you know? Come back here.
Yeah, just set
it, yeah. Show navigator, there we go. So I like having that sitting here. That's a small little go. So now we've got all our screen customized how we want it. So we come back in here to our work environment and back up here, and then we can give it a new profile. So if we'll just call this one Tony's profile, and use the preference schemes. So that's the preference scheme is standard, the company standards is customized, the shortcuts are standard, the tool schemes are customized, the workspace schemes customized, and the layout schemes are standard. So we go OK. So now that's created my profile. So if we were to change anything, so if we were to go back to, say, the standard profile, what changed here? Go to the layout frame. So there's the layout profile, and then, so if I jump on the computer and it's all set up like that, and I want to bring mine in, I just need to open up work environment, apply Tony's profile, and bang, it's come back to the way I like to work. Everything's set up like that. And then if you do happen to move computers or are working from various workstations, depending on what day it is or where you're moving around, you can actually save it to the server and upload it. So you come back to the work environment, I've got my profile, and in fact I can set this as a default too for my computer, so I can set that now so that every time I open up it's going to be the default profile, and I can export that to somewhere as my profile, save it, and then if I either have a new computer or move computers, I can quickly go and import it and set my new system up so that you know what it's going to be like. And the thing is too, you don't have to have just one profile. You can set up various profiles depending on what you're doing. So if you're focusing more on internal stuff, you could have a profile for your interior work. If you're focusing on the building or outsource stuff, you could have a profile that set up to suit that sort of exterior work. So more of the modelling and the meshes and all those sorts of things, the morphs. So yeah, so that's a basic rundown on how you can customise your work environment, and hopefully mean you can get a wee bit more out of ArchiCAD as you go. So Thank you.
I like to have another profile for the laptop because the screen is smaller. Not all the items that I use here. So,
Yeah, you can do that.